Eagles. Eagles.
And welcome in, everybody, to a Football Friday here on Birds 365. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, John McMullen. And we got an offensive coordinator in the city of brotherly love. Sean Mannion has landed, everybody. He is your new Eagles offensive coordinator. After a 17-day or 18-day search, they bring it to a conclusion with Sean Mannion as your OC, a former quarterback in the National Football League, been a coach now for 2 years in the league. No play calling experience, but Sean Mannion has landed. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Football Friday?
Yeah, it's jarring when you say no play calling experience. That's all anybody was talking about. Got to get experience. Got to get experience. And then they take the least experienced guy humanly possible.
Yeah, he makes Kevin Moore look like he's very experienced, doesn't he?
Yeah, interesting choice. I think with time to think about it, I think it was striking how much the Eagles branded this as a Nick Sirianni decision because, as we know, the narrative out there is that Howie makes these decisions, which isn't true, as I've tried to explain. And obviously Jeffrey has to approve it. I mean, that's part of it. But striking with the long statement how much they branded it as a Nick Sirianni hire, and I do get a little end of Chip Kelly feel here of like, all right, we're going to put it all on you, Nick Sirianni. And if you can get it done, great. If you can't get it done, I think this is it. I think this is the decision that will basically decide whether Nick Sirianni is going to be here in 2027, or even make it to the end of 2026. I think the clock has officially started.
Wow. That is the J-Mac first takeaway on the new. And that, actually, I agree with you. I mean, they clearly did put it at the feet of Nick Sirianni. But, John, let's give the people a little bit of an update real quick, or just a background on Sean Mannion. Sean Mannion's 33 years old. I'll say that again. He's 33 years old. He was drafted in 2015. All right. He has been a coach in the NFL. No play calling experience at any level. He has been a coach for just 2 years. He was hired as an offensive assistant a couple years ago, elevated to a quarterback coach in Green Bay. Now, I will say, Jordan Love, I thought, had one of his best years this year for when he was on the field. Malik Willis played well, in relief when Malik Willis went down. So the Packers quarterbacks had a pretty good year this year. But Sean Mannion doesn't have any play calling experience, which many people, John, will hang their hat on, and that's a part of it. But, John, something we talked about was, boy, I hope they don't just, go a certain way to avoid the backlash, and they certainly didn't do that here. There's plenty of backlash to come with this hire. And, in the face of maybe placating to it, it doesn't appear that they did. We'll find out if they're right.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, outside of two names, because they got out there of what the Eagles' original intent was, and that's Mike McDaniel, Brian Daboll, and even Brian Daboll. I think Mike McDaniel's the only one who could have come in with little backlash, and I don't even understand that, by the way. But even if you at this stage of the game, I don't know where you could have went and not have certain criticism. We talked a lot about Matt Nagy over recent days. That's where I would have went because I prefer a little bit more experience. They would have got a ton of shit for hiring Matt Nagy. He's a retread. He didn't do this. He didn't do that.
They might have gotten more shit for that.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, that part of it, I think, evaporated once the perceived top two left the equation. But I'm not going to lie. I'm stunned. They hired Sean Mannion with 2 years experience to be an offensive coordinator. It's just not done. not to say it can't work, because I do think there's a lot of closed-minded people in the NFL, a lot of closed-minded people in general. And that's, the Eagles pride themselves on that. So maybe it'd be out of the box, forward thinking. So maybe it shouldn't be as big a surprise from them being the ones to do it. But I mean, yeah, this is wrought with obvious potholes and potential easy, low-hanging criticism for the obvious reasons, just because this is not done. This is typically not done. You said no play calling experience at any level. He's got no experience at any level. He had an entry-level coaching job coming straight off the field, and then he's a quarterback's coach the next year, and then he's an offensive coordinator. If it's happened before, I can't remember it. Like I talked all the time. Think about Josh McCown. He's still not an offensive coordinator. I kind of advocate, well, if there's one guy who could probably do it, it was Josh, because I don't know, he quarterbacked for 17 years and about every offensive scheme you could potentially be involved with. Just extremely smart, extremely personable, connects with people, checked every box, and he's still not an offensive coordinator. Yeah, he's only been coaching a short time, but this is like, wow. I mean, think about the offensive coaches on this team.
I know
how long Jeff Stoutland's been around. How long Jason Michael's been an offensive coordinator in the past. Jamal Singleton. Think about how long they've been coaching.
So your takeaway after a night, and I don't want to speak for you, but you believe that this is really now focused in on next year. I agree with you now that you're saying it to me. I mean, this has really become Nick Sirianni's boom or bust hire, and he's either gonna sink or he's gonna swim, and it's gonna look really good.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles released a statement. They've been, if you go back to the press conference, and really go back years, even when people perceived that Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio were Howie hirings, he made it clear that to say that Nick is in charge of the coaching staff. For whatever reason, people don't believe it. Well, you can believe it on this one. Now, again, Jeffrey Lurie can step in and stop it. He could have said, "No, we're not going to do this." But other than that, and obviously he allowed them and he approved the move. And I'm not saying this is not a sharp guy and a smart guy, because everybody talks about him like he's a future head coach and raves about him. But I mean, if anybody can point somebody out there that has advanced this quickly, please, because I want to know, because I'm looking.
But it does look like, it does look like what you said. I mean, that might be true, but it does appear that they let Nick, put it all on him. And if they fail again, it's going to make the off ramp for Nick much easier when you're coming off of a Super Bowl. Right now the optics were not good if the organization wanted to move on from Nick Sirianni, less than a year after they won a Super Bowl. Now, if your offense falls flat again and they put it all on Nick Sirianni, that sale to the fan base is going to be much easier. Hey, we failed again, and Nick Sirianni hired this guy, So I don't know. That's what it looks like to me. It's like Nick Sirianni's about to sink, or he's about to
sink.
They
definitely. I mean, this is a branded Nick Sirianni hire.
Oh, from start to finish. I mean, remember the initial thing they put out too was from Nick Sirianni about Kevin Petullo, which I thought was interesting.
Yep. So, yeah, the more and more I think about it, it's straight. I get that Chip Kelly feel of like, who knows what's going on behind the scenes, but maybe there was a pushback that, like, I won a Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. Give me my coaches. And, maybe Jeffrey did what he did and said, all right, let's see if he can do it.
Well, do you think Nick will have a better opportunity to be, or do you think Nick will be successful as opposed to what Chip Kelly ultimately ended up? I mean, I think.
I mean,
guy.
As of right now, Sean Mannion is going to call the plays. I mean, I think it would be relatively easy for Nick to take that over at some point. But I mean, he has been. I wish he's said it in public a number of times, but he's been very, very consistent that he does not want to call plays. He thinks it impacts the other abilities or during game day to be the head coach. Now, he's been very consistent with that. And right now that's the plan for Sean to call plays. Now, again, most of that work is done during the week. It will be heavily influenced by Nick Sirianni. The old, the menu's there for you. Just pick off the menu.
Yeah, well, I mean, he is the head coach of the team. I know everybody in a pie in the sky.
Well, exactly. That's the fantasy.
Yeah,
the fantasy world of you got to give the guy more on. You got to give the underling more autonomy than the boss. Is just where does that exist? I'm still waiting for that answer.
That's just not realistic, but
yeah. So. It's definitely a Nick Sirianni branded hire, and this is, this is a bold move. It's bold. It's very bold. It's swinging for the fences. I think this guy's a future superstar in the coaching profession. That's what it is. I think this guy's a natural. That's what it is. And they could have, They could have went for the sharp single, which I think Matt Nagy would have been, but nobody's excited by that. They swung for the fences. Again, the expectations here, we talk about all the time. Boom or bust. That's what it's been, this position. Even Chris Long. Chris Long loves the Eagles. I saw him. He was like, I guess they were talking about Davis Webb, because I only heard the clip. And he said, well, would you rather have the Denver job or the Eagles job? And he said, Denver. This is Chris Long. And he went directly to that. That is, basically a high pressure position in Philly. And as we've seen the history of this team's offensive coordinators, it's boom or bust. And I think the same applies here. And they're swinging for the fences. They're going for the boom. But it could go bust.
Yeah, it could. They're going boom for sure here. Sean
Mannion, he's gonna real quick, Zander. He's gonna have freaking growing pains. He's a human being.
100%.
You never do something before. I've been putting up this damn green screen for 5 years. I still can't. It took me 10 minutes today. It drove me insane, and I still didn't get it right. But anyway. You're not going to step into a job and just have all the answers on day one. I mean, you've never done it before. Again, that doesn't exist. So my question is, are people going to have the patience with this guy to let him learn and grow on the job? I already know that answer. The answer is no. From Sean Mannion's perspective, it's being able to persevere and still getting the results while learning. Can he do that?
Well, and is Nick Sirianni going to stick up for his guy this time?
I'm sure he's going to stick up. He's definitely going to stick up for him.
I don't know.
But I mean, there's only so much you can do. Like I said, I think part of it's going to take care of itself because I think so many players had down years last year. I think they're going to get back to where they were or closer to where they were. In the case of somebody like Saquon, it's hard to get to where you were, but I think so many of the offensive players are going to bounce back simply because they had really, a lot of them, we always talk about career years. A lot of them had their worst years in the NFL. And I don't think that's going to happen again.
I don't dislike the hire here. I agree with what you're saying, though. I mean, what you're saying is 100% right. But I like the hire. I mean, everybody in the NFL does these, a very similar thing. I like the idea of Nick Sirianni with his back against the wall, still sticks to his guns and says, you know what, let me make the most boomer or bust possible hire in the history of hires coming off of that year. I mean, look, there's negatives to it.
The Final Four was very uninspiring.
Yeah.
The Final Four. So you're choosing between Sean Mannion, Jim Bob Cooter, Josh Grizzard, and Jared Johnson. Those are your four choices.
Yeah.
With those four choices, I'm taking Sean Mannion. So I agree with that. How did you get it whittled down to those four? That's not the best search in the world.
Yeah, but look around, dude. There's still like 10 teams that don't have an OC. Clearly they're struggling too. We're almost through.
Well, and the ones that have obviously Arizona and Las Vegas, they're Arizona and Las Vegas, and they don't even have head coaches. So, and obviously if they go the way everybody thinks they're going, Mike LaFleur is going to call the plays in Arizona, and Clay Kubiak, is it Clay or I always get them mixed up. The Kubiak kid is going to
Clint in Seattle.
Clint's going to get the
Clay is in San Fran, right?
Yeah, Clint. Yeah.
Clint. It's Clint.
Clint. I always get this.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So Clint is most likely getting the Vegas job, and he'll be the play caller there. So those two will take care of himself. Now, Baltimore, the Giants, because of John Harbaugh, they expected to have Todd Monken. So, yeah, I mean, they got thrown a curveball.
Well, I'm just saying after that, though, they don't seem to be all that inspired. So it's not like the Eagles were on an island here. It feels like everybody is uninspired by the candidates. Now we have Sean Mannion, guys, 33 years old, born in San Jose, California. Sorry, Cali people. That might be a knock on Sean. Just kidding. 6'6", former quarterback, replaces Kevin Patullo. He played 8 seasons in the NFL, 2015 to 2023. Oregon State, Pac-12 passing yards leader, 13,600 yards. Johnny Mack and 83 touchdowns. I'm telling you, this guy reminds me of Kellen Moore. 2015 NFL draft, a third-round pick, 89th overall to the St. Louis Rams. He played for the Rams, the Vikings, the Seahawks in his career. Played under Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, Kevin Stefanski, and Clint Kubiak. In 24, he was hired to be the Packers offensive assistant by Matt LaFleur, and then promoted to quarterbacks coach last year. And just last week, he was the offensive coordinator, John, maybe for the first time in his career, of the West team in the East-West Shrine Bowl. All right, this guy has been – Johnny's one of those guys where you know how the NFL, they fall in love with certain guys. Now you're hearing future head coach in the making, Matt LaFleur praised him. Goes above and beyond the call of duty. All right, got the McVay coaching connection. There's your rundown on the guy, and then the big question remains.
Coffee with Sean, man. Yeah, I look. Your comparison to Kellen Moore, as a good college quarterback, he's a very good college quarterback. So was Kellen.
Kellen was an incredible. I think people don't remember how good Kellen was in college.
Yeah, Kellen was tremendous.
I think he was a Heisman finalist, wasn't he? Wasn't Kellen Moore a Heisman finalist?
I don't know, but he was also undrafted because of his size. He's very small, where Sean's 6'6". So as far as traits go, that's why one was a third-round pick. But yeah, Kellen was tremendous at Boise State. But the comparisons in the coaching aspect, well, you can start there, but when Kellen got here, it was his 6th year, I believe, as an offensive coordinator. It's his 6th year as an offensive coordinator.
And he was good early.
And my the most positive thing I've heard about Kellen Moore when he was here is that he could drown out people and in a good way, and that when he heard chirping from AJ or maybe Chandler, he would drown it out and just do what he wanted to do, which I think is a positive. But I think that comes with experience. I'm not talking about outside noise. I'm talking about inside noise. He would drown it out.
What do you mean drown it out? Like just not listen to it, or have a way of
have a way of just, all right, I'm going to listen to you, but we're going to do what I'm going to do, what I want to do.
Right.
That not being.
Yeah. Hopefully Sean Mannion has that too.
Well, yeah.
Much harder
6
to
years.
do.
6 years. Kellen, as you mentioned, had a number of top tier offenses, so there's a little bit more cachet. Yeah, I don't like any of the comps other than, and then take a look at Doug Nussmeier, also a hell of a college quarterback. But, he's plateaued as a quarterbacks coach, now offensive coordinator. So there's plenty of backup quarterback. Hey, actually, there is one guy. I just thought of it. Because Washington did the same thing with David Blau. Now, he hasn't done it yet. Now, I'm glad we fleshed this out because I forgot about David Blau. So they're doing the same damn thing. Blau, I'm looking him up real quick.
Yeah, go for
he
it.
was playing the same 2023. He was playing in 2023. Same thing. I'm like trying to find one that's right in front of me. He stopped playing in 2023. And the Commanders hired him. Yeah. And they hired him as the assistant quarterbacks coach. Assistant quarterbacks coach, which he had been over the last 2 years, and then promoted him to offensive coordinator. He wasn't even the quarterbacks coach.
Oh man, that's even worse than Mannion.
Yeah, so I'm looking back in history and I'm trying to find one. It's right in front of my face in the same division.
It's happening right now. The history is being created as we speak, John.
Yeah. But same thing,
as much as I like to hire. I'm not, I see a lot of people who are just like, they're ready to think that Sean Mannion is the worst call, but offensive.
Well, people don't like change, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, Washington's doing it too. Maybe.
Well, wait. Let me finish. I mean, I like to hire, but I will say this: it's not lost on me the irony of, firing Patullo and bitching about him in the way that it was bitched about, and then hiring somebody who has, I don't know, 15% of the coaching experience as Kevin Patullo does. I mean, Kevin Patullo is inexperienced as a play caller and as an offensive coordinator. He is like leaps and bounds in experience above Sean Mannion when it comes to coaching football, which is pretty ironic. I will say that.
Yeah, well, and that's part of the fallacy with Kevin Patullo. I mean, it's like everybody in that building, they still haven't fired him, by the way.
Yeah, what is he? What is he going to be?
I have no idea. Well, there's still a lot of questions that
I need you to uncover that this weekend, John. I need you to give me some Monday intel on where is Kevin Patullo?
Well, it depends on, again, it depends on what he wants to do. If he wants to return, I think if he wants to return, he'll return. If he wants to go somewhere else, he'll go, because he's obviously they did him dirty. I don't know how
what Kevin called Sean last night and said, "Good luck." Good.
Everybody in that building loves that guy. And again, don't listen to me. Listen to Kelsey or somebody like that. Who's in it. Listen to him talk about Kevin.
They told you all year. Nobody wanted to listen to him.
Yeah,
Devontae, AJ, Saquon. The only person who never ever gave Kevin Patullo a public display of support was Jalen Hurts. He's the only one.
And I think that was overblown too, because that's just the way Jalen is. I mean, he's very intentional. He doesn't like to go positive, negative. I mean, they were think about now the stories start to come out that Jalen trusts Nick Sirianni. Think about all the stories about Jalen and Nick Sirianni aren't on the same page, and because of the way Jalen spoke. That's the way he speaks. You're never going to get effusive praise from Jalen Hurts. It's just not the way he is.
Yeah. I was listening to Jeff McLean's pod. He was talking to Mike Silver about Hurts and acting like Michael Jordan nowadays, and it just reminded me of the comments you made earlier in the year about
that's sort of a joke, a little butt of a joke there. But I mean,
a butt of a joke meaning it's not true, or a butt of a joke meaning it's what?
No, that he tries to act like Michael Jordan is a little bit the butt of a joke. Yeah, he does. I mean, did people not pick up on the cigar in the trophy? Yeah. I mean, the hats. He wears the same damn hat as Michael Jordan, the goopy.
Yeah, no, I know he does.
Whatever that style of hat is. Yeah, so he gets chided a little bit for that, but yeah, I thought people over. I don't think he disliked KP at all. I don't think anybody dislikes him, but somebody's got to pay the price. It's just the nature of the industry.
Well, hopefully Jalen plays better, because I think that's a big part of helping your offensive coordinator.
Yeah, that'll help.
Yeah,
that'll help.
Same with all of them.
Yeah, well, and I think that's why they're going to be better offensively, because I think the players are going to play better. Because I think there's a lot of fire under them because of the seasons that they had. Just the nature of, playing sports. You have up years, you have down years. You try to sustain as best as possible, but that's not always possible. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. And now we have that. Now we have that narrative all year. David Blau versus Sean Mannion. Who's less prepared or more prepared?
I think Sean Mannion's going to be an all right hire. Everybody, relax, take a deep breath. Sean Mannion has landed in Philadelphia. When will they let you talk to Sean before, like, I don't know?
If history says we get them very late, probably at OTAs. So if history holds up, they like to prepare these guys, and evidently it takes 8 weeks or so. I'm hoping somebody talks, whether it's Nick or I doubt Howie's going to talk, because they branded it as a Nick hire. I'm hoping somebody's talking, but I'm guessing history says the first time they'll talk is at the combine.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We will see. Things are going to ramp up quick. I want to welcome and thank everybody for being here this morning. All right, the offensive coordinator search has come to an end. Finally, Sean Mannion is the offensive coordinator of the football team. Plenty to talk about with Sean Mannion when it comes to what does the offense look like. Is it another incarnation of the Sirianni offense? Does Sean maybe bring his own ideas into the John, are the concepts changing?
The concepts.
The
concepts.
Will they change? Will they not? I think there's a lot of good conversation when it comes to that. And then, how much of this hire is about Jalen Hurts? Or is potentially this hire, you hire a former quarterback, and is there an element of that, John, that you think Nick Sirianni was thinking about here? I mean, look, at the end of the day, this is football. Quarterbacks are very important to the game, and if your offense doesn't perform to where you want the offense to perform, in 99% of cities, the quarterback is a part of that conversation. Now, there's a small portion of the Eagles fan base that thinks that in Philly, the quarterback is not a portion of the conversation on offense, but he is. How much of the hire do you think is about Jalen Hurts, or maybe none at all?
Well, I mean, anytime you hire, as you pointed out, anytime you hire an offensive coordinator, it's about the quarterback in any NFL city. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's where it all starts. So, I mean, that's baked into it, obviously. Yeah, I mean, you have to get the quarterback up to speed and as best as possible, whether you have a great quarterback or you have one of the worst quarterbacks. And obviously, if you have a younger quarterback, it's even more important because you need to develop them. Jalen's been around for a while. So to me, I said I've been pretty consistent. It's about accentuating what he does best while continuing to get better. But I don't think it's about massive change. I don't think that makes sense. I don't think, I don't think that's a good way to do about it. We had that comment yesterday that, why every quarterback, I think that it was every quarterback has flaws, which is true. From, whoever you think the best, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes on down. Every quarterback has flaws. And then it's like, the same comment was, so you should change to what he does poorly. I don't understand that mentality. Like the whole point of coaching, and this has been said multiple times, maximize strengths, minimize deficiencies. That's right. Coaching. Not, do you want them to get better? Sure. Obviously you want them to get better, but you don't build around the flaws. You build around the strengths.
Well, what does that mean for Sean Mannion as the new offensive coordinator of this team?
It means similar to maximizing what the Eagles did in 2022 and 2024. You already have a template. There's your template. How do you get there? My two biggest things are prove the running game. 2, convince whomever the problem was, convince Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, Jeffrey Lark, I don't care who it is, that, hey, we need this guy's legs back into the game in a more consistent fashion. Those are my two number one things if I'm Sean Mannion. I'm pushing for that the day I get in the building. But do you have the cachet to push for that at 33 years old and a first-time coordinator and a third-year coach?
Or you hired the guy. Don't now not give him the resource. If they're not going to give him the resources that he needs to be successful, then why hire him in the first place? It's the same thing with Nick Sirianni. If you want to undercut Nick Sirianni at every turn and basically castrate him as a head coach, then why is he your head coach? Just move on. Go. Just get somebody that you trust. If you're going to hire Sean Mannion, then give him the resources he needs to be successful, because even the greatest offensive coordinators need the resources to be successful. So I hate the approach of, well, is he going to be able to get what he needs because he doesn't have the cap? I don't think you're wrong, but I don't think that's a good approach if that's the way they're going to see it.
Well, what I don't think is a good approach is approaching it like, it was notable that the Eagles accentuated on their website, and that maybe not, because his history is his history, and his history is, the Shanahan McVay offense, which, morphs off into its own, more McVay early, more Shanahan later. But, and if you're going to try to pound the square peg in the round hole, which they tried to do a little bit this year with the under center stuff, which was more about the running game. But, it's like my life. It's like the green screen. We're going to hear the same crap in the spring. Oh, there's more motion. There's more of this. There's more of that. Like that's the magic fix to it all.
It's not the magic fix, but is there an element of it that is good to add?
Well, if the quarterback, if the quarterback isn't comfortable with it, what is the fucking point? Go get another quarterback then. Like nobody questioned Phillip Rivers when he didn't want motion and you know, nobody questioned it because he did it well and that's what he preferred. And that's so you build around the strengths of the quarterback. Jalen Hurts obviously does not want a bunch of eye candy pre-snap. So, can you uncover ways formationally to alert, certain coverages quicker or better? And that to me will be Sean's job, and making sure you make the teaching points clear and concise and things like that. And making sure the quarterback can get to the answer. But yeah, if you want him to run Matthew Stafford's offense or Brock Purdy's offense, like, what are we doing here? I don't care about your delicate sensibilities. It's dumb.
Yeah, it is.
Why would you ask Brock Purdy or Matthew Stafford to play the Eagles offense?
So what does evolution look like? Or is there no evolution? Is it simply, is this why you always said just execute better? That's it. That's the only
there has been tremendous evolution from year 1 to Jalen Hurts to year 5.
Yeah,
so that's the experience part of it. That's the experience part of it, and getting better at what you already do well, and you continue to get better. And in theory, that should continue to work. But I don't understand the people like stick him in Matthew Stafford's offense. Stick him in Brock Purdy's offense. And for those with the delicate sensibilities, why would you ask Brock Purdy to play in an Eagles-style offense? Why would you ask Matthew Stafford to play in an Eagles-style offense? And if you're so hell-bent and you love that offensive scheme and those concepts so much, then you have to get a different quarterback, which is far fucking easier said than done. And it's very unlikely you get a quarterback that's better than Jalen Hurts. So here's an interesting thought. Why not maximize what you have while you have it, and then worry about the next quarterback when you have to get the next quarterback?
Well, how much does Jalen play into that they maybe aren't doing that? I mean, when you say maximize what you have, in your textbook definition, what is the way to do that with Jalen? Is it to get him to run more? And I'm talking about him individually. I'm not talking about hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley 30 times. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about get the most out of that player. How does Sean Mannion do that? If it's not changing anything on the off, if it's not changing the concepts, which we're going to joke about, I'm sure, all summer. If it's not motion,
I hope his first play call is a hitch route. I hope.
Well, they were 31st in the NFL last year in hitch routes. Now, remember, I'll remind everybody this too. And an even more ironic look at this. Not only was Sean Mannion not the offensive coordinator or not the play caller, he was multiple removed. I mean, the offensive coordinator in Green Bay doesn't call plays. So he's technically 2 removed or multiple removed, from what LaFleur does there. It's not like he's directly in LaFleur's ear and LaFleur's calling the plays. It's not like Matt Nagy was.
Yeah. He's not like Scott Leffler, where he's taking over the offense here in season. That's a joke, by the way.
I know.
For those
it's best for you to say that. People won't pick it up.
For those morons who think that happened. I'll go one further. Obviously the Packers have a head coach who calls plays and doesn't pay attention to the defense, which is another conversation. Matt LaFleur. They have an offensive coordinator, Adam Stenavich, who doesn't call plays. They have a passing game coordinator, Jason Vrabel. They have a pass game specialist, game management guy, Connor Lewis. So you could argue he definitely, at best, 4th on the pecking order, maybe 5th. So yeah. He didn't have a lot to do with play calling. Now, everybody has involved with game planning, so it's not like he's not. And he got to watch one of the best play callers, and he's got to watch, from a different perspective, Sean McVay as a quarterback, and he got to watch Kevin O'Connell as a quarterback, and he got to watch, guys like that as Kevin Stefanski as a quarterback. So you have all this knowledge, that's real. But I mean, I don't know if this anything, and I know people get mad when I downplay it, but I don't think anything could prove more to you if you're being objective that play calling isn't as big as a deal as you guys think it is than this hire or the David Blau hire in Washington. This is about leadership. It's about connecting with people. It's about teaching. Those are the bigger roles. Those are the bigger roles. And, I'm not saying there aren't great play callers, because there are guys. Vic Fangio is a great play caller on defense. He has a feel for it. There are certain guys who have a feel for it. And that's developed over many, many years. And even then, people will criticize Kyle Shanahan when he's got 75 injuries and scores 6 points in the playoffs, or, Sean McVay calls a poor play with the game on the line, or Ben Johnson calls a poor play with his season on the line. Or gets a poor result more definitively. But I don't think anything could show it to you more objectively than a hire like this with a guy who has absolutely no experience doing it. And they gave him the keys to the Ferrari, or at least what everybody thinks is a Ferrari.
Wasn't no Ferrari last year, John. This offense was an old beaten down Toyota Corolla. With their exhaust hanging off the back.
Hey, man, those Corollas, man, they'll run forever. Don't dismiss the Corollas.
This one got banged up on Broad Street. Somebody blew a stop sign. The bumper's hanging off, and the exhaust pipe is dragging up and down the concrete. I don't know about that, but all right, John. Well, we'll see what happens, brother. It's going to be a very interesting thing to talk to kind of watch unfold. In a way, it makes it more interesting that they went this way, I think, and that's a good thing.
It's far more interesting than the other three options. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Cooter would have been fun. Cooter would have been hilarious.
Yeah, he would have been fun for the immature people. But,
yeah, Brian Pumper would have had a field day with Cooter.
Yeah. By far of the finalists,
got Jim Bob Cooter.
Well, Jim Bob is. You don't even have to get to the Cooter part. Jim Bob is.
Yeah, but Cooter, that's what makes it so funny. Jim Bob's already funny, and then you add Cooter to it. It's a funny name. It's a classic name. Guy's got an iconic name. He was dealt an iconic hand with his name. It's good stuff.
I don't think it's helping him, the name, to be honest.
No? I don't know, man. I had people sending me, how people do the political banners with like a name. They had Cooter Hurts on the banner, John.
I'm not talking about it. I'm not talking about the immature people in the chat. I'm talking about in the NFL. I don't think it helps them, to be honest. But not fair. None of it's fair. But
it's not fair.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, of the four finalists, this is by far the most interesting. I will say that.
Yeah. Good stuff there. Appreciate everybody being here. Let's get to some super chats. Here's Brian Garner, member for 16 months. I'm intrigued. Doug and Nick weren't the Eagles' first choice, and it worked out well. I'm looking forward to it, even if it's a one and done. Well, if it's a one and done, it's not going to be just the OC this time. That's gone, in my opinion. That's gone. That can't happen anymore.
Well, it could be a one and done from a successful standpoint. Then Nick's fine.
That's fair. Yes. I was more thinking one and done as a failure standpoint, but you're right. As from a success.
Oh yeah, this is Nick Sirianni's hire. This They branded it that way. If this fails, this is it for Nick Sirianni in Philadelphia.
And how do you view Jalen in that realm? Like, is he in that combo too, or no?
Yeah, he's definitely in that combo. If you start blowing out everybody, you're going to start looking for the next quarterback as well. Yeah.
Well, that's not always true, though. I mean, you do see teams fire head coaches and come. Josh Allen just picked the damn new.
Well, it's hard. It's hard to. Well, Josh is still at the very high level, even though again, people with the delicate sensibilities are going to be up in arms, but not the same situation.
I mean, I don't know how people are up in arms that Josh Allen's a great quarterback. It blows my mind how people have
it's just
shit on other players, shit on people.
People want Jalen to be in the same conversations. Who there was not. That's what I was going to bring up. I think it was Chris Long was talking about. Oh no, Fred Warner, I think, was on maybe Chris's show. Is talking about how good Justin Herbert was. Fred Warner, all pro line, all world linebacker, Hall of Fame linebacker, talking about how good Justin Herbert is.
Don't let Eagles fans do that, John.
Yeah. And it's like, you're not flashing your football knowledge if you sit there and argue to NFL people that Justin Herbert can't play quarterback. You're not helping yourself. So there's a little bit of a disconnect with the really, really top tier quarterbacks and what people think should be in the top tier of quarterbacks. But anyway, yeah, so there's already talk that the Eagles are going to draft a quarterback this year and try to, if they like some, obviously,
if they draft a quarterback early this year, that I'll be convinced that.
Well, they're not going to take one in the first round, but starting day 2, they might do it again. If they like somebody. I don't think this is a great quarterback draft to begin with. But I mean, that's Howie's always had that belief anyway. You draft a quarterback every year if you can, which really goes back to Ron Wolf more than anybody else. You draft a quarterback every year. And with the Packers, it worked. They're drafting. You get a lot of shit, but you're drafting Aaron Rodgers when you have Brett Favre. You're drafting Jordan Love when you have Brett Favre. When you have Aaron Rodgers, it worked out pretty well. Now, I don't think the Eagles have never done it, invested in that level to that level, but they do believe in bringing in guys. And even last year, they took a shot late with Kyle McCord, which didn't work. And obviously, day 3 is not going to generate much enthusiasm. But if they like somebody, yeah, it'll start on day 2. They'll think about taking them. Just from the natural way they do business, and they want to keep that position loaded and ready because Tanner McKee will be a free agent after next year. So you start talking about, well, they know a lot about Garrett Nussmeier, who had a terrible year ending college, but, people were talking about him as a potential top 5 pick. So let's say you can get him in the 3rd round. Take a shot at Garrett Nussmeier? It's worth a shot. Take a shot on Carson Beck?
Oh, please. No.
Take a shot on Cade Klubnik. I'm looking at the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
There was a guy who everybody talked about a 1st-round pick until he got on the field. Drew Aller, Penn State. Oh, bad player. But everybody had him as a 1st-round pick.
Why? Because he's 6'5".
Hey, I'm not the one who pumped him up. But I'm sure you heard people pumping him up. And the point is, as as some of these quarterbacks have down years and people write them off, there becomes value. You know, if you were in the top 10 pick conversation like Garrett Nussmeier was, there's value there if he drops. I'm just saying it's in play, and they're going to draft a quarterback most likely on day 3, which is not going to be relevant. But if somebody's there that they like in the 3rd round, they take them.
Here's Suplex City. John, if Hurts back in 23 doesn't want Brian Johnson fired, do they listen? Or no, he doesn't have the cachet yet?
No, they would not listen. They fired him. I don't think Jalen had a bad relationship with Brian Johnson. I don't think he had a bad relationship with Kevin Petula. No, they will not. They're going to fire who they want to fire.
I don't think Jalen liked Kevin Petula.
Well, I disagree with you.
That's fair. He is similar with everybody, so it's very hard to tell.
I don't know one person in that building that dislikes Kevin Petula, including Jalen Hurts.
Do you know that Jalen doesn't like him?
Yeah. No. Doesn't like him? No, I know he likes him.
You know he likes him.
I know he likes him.
Speculate. You know he doesn't like AJ. We know likes him. He said it multiple times.
No, I know he likes him. I know he likes him.
All right, that's good. All right, good stuff. Suplex, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate everybody being here today. All right, John, next topic for you is this going to be a new offense? I know it sounds redundant, but we did just hire a completely brand new coordinator. We did just hire a guy who's got a way different background than the offensive football that we play. Came from McVay and LaFleur and all of the Clint Kubiak and Kevin O'Connell. These are like the highly talked about QB whisperers and offensive gurus and all of these guys. Well, we don't have one of those offenses in Philadelphia. Are we going to try and get closer to that, or are we going to not try and get closer to that?
Can we just replay our show from 2024?
Yeah, we
17 of them.
No, I won't make enough money that way. But
did they? We've already been through this. No, I'm making light of it. Of course, I get these questions. I get why people are going to ask these. How many times do you need to be through the same thing before you go, oh, well, if he's a good coach, he's going to